I've always known exactly who I am. A man who leads. A man who decides. A man who never hesitates. It's what people expect from me, and I give it to them without a second thought. My confidence is my armor, my compass, my default setting. I built my world on the bedrock of certainty, and for years, that world was unshakable. Then he walked into it, and the ground shifted beneath my feet. He was the kind of man who didn't need anyone else's approval because he carried his own gravity. Tall, grounded, with a presence that made a room subconsciously adjust itself to him. You could feel it. When he entered a space, the energy changed. Other men who were used to being the loudest or the most important, they would quiet down. They respected him, not out of fear, but out of a kind of innate recognition. Women, of course, noticed him. It was impossible not to. But he seemed to notice nothing and no one. Especially not me. At first, I mistook the feeling for competition. It was familiar territory. Two alphas, two men accustomed to being in control, circling each other, sizing each other up. It was a language I understood. I thought, okay, this is a new challenge. Someone who won't just fall in line. I can handle that. I prepared for a battle of wills, a subtle chess match played out in boardrooms and casual conversations. But what I was feeling wasn't about winning or losing. Competition doesn't make your chest tighten into a painful knot when someone stands a little too close to you at the coffee machine. It doesn't make the air crackle with a voltage you can almost see. Desire does. And this was a desire so foreign, so unexpected, it felt like a betrayal of the man I thought I was. When he finally spoke to me, it wasn't with the deference I was used to, nor was it with the aggressive challenge of a rival. He spoke to me like an equal. He wasn't impressed by my reputation. He wasn't intimidated by my position. He just saw me. And when our eyes locked for the first time across a crowded room, a silence fell between us that no one else could hear. Neither of us looked away. It felt like minutes, though it was probably only seconds. That kind of prolonged and blinking stare isn't about curiosity. It's not a challenge. It's something far more primal. It's recognition. It's seeing a reflection of your own fire in someone else's eyes. From that moment on, my own body became a foreign landscape. I started becoming aware of myself in ways I never had before. I was conscious of the space between us, measuring it in inches, feeling it like a physical force. I noticed the heat that seemed to radiate from him, or maybe it was from me, I couldn't tell. My entire life had been about effortless control, but around him, it was all about restraint. A conscious, deliberate, and exhausting effort not to close that gap. Not to react. Not to reveal the chaos he had unleashed inside me. Wanting him wasn't a gentle awakening. It wasn't soft or poetic. It was dangerous. It felt like holding a live wire. It was a sharp, jagged thing that threatened to tear through the carefully constructed fabric of my life. Every casual brush of his arm against mine felt like a brand. Every shared glance was a secret conversation I was terrified to translate. I, the man who made decisions in a split second, was paralyzed. The certainty that had defined me was gone, replaced by a constant, humming question, what is this? And what do I do about it? I found myself orchestrating my days around the possibility of seeing him, while simultaneously dreading it. I'd walk into a meeting, and my eyes would scan the room for him first, a reflex I couldn't stop. If he was there, a part of me would relax, and another part would tense up for the performance to come, the performance of being unaffected, of being the man I was supposed to be. If he wasn't there, I felt a hollow sense of disappointment, followed by a wave of relief, which only made me feel more pathetic. I was a man at war with himself, and I was losing. One night, after a long event, we were the last to leave. The building was empty. The city lights were a distant, muted glow through the large office windows. There was no audience, no colleagues, no distractions. It was just the two of us, standing under the dim security lights. Surrounded by a profound silence, he was gathering his things, and I was pretending to do the same. My heart hammering against my ribs. The space between us, that constant, charged void, felt smaller than ever. Too close for colleagues. Too close for rivals. Too close for anything that made sense. He stopped what he was doing and just stood there, watching me. I could feel his gaze on me, heavy and knowing. After a long moment that stretched into an eternity, he leaned in, not to kiss me, but just to close the remaining distance until his breath was warm against my ear. He spoke quietly, his voice a low rumble that vibrated through my entire body. He said, "You know exactly what this is." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. An accusation and an absolution all at once. I swallowed, the sound loud in the silent room. Because he was right. I knew. I had been denying it, fighting it, trying to label it as anything else, but in that moment, with him so close, the truth was undeniable. My voice was rough when I finally answered. I told him, "Wanting you will cost me my control." It was the most honest thing I had said in months. It was a confession. An admission of defeat. He pulled back just enough to look me in the eye. And he smiled. It wasn't a triumphant smile or a mocking one. It was sad. It was knowing. He said, "Wanting me already has." And then, nothing happened. He picked up his briefcase, gave me a final, lingering look, and walked out. He just left. And that was the cruelest part. That was the most devastating move in the entire game. Because a fire that's extinguished leaves ash. But a fire that's left to burn, and fed and uncontained, just gets hotter. Desire between two men who refuse to surrender, who refuse to give an inch, it doesn't just disappear when one of them walks away. It sharpens. It crystallizes. It transforms into something else. It becomes memory. It becomes a permanent hunger. I've wanted other people since then. I've had relationships. I've tried to rebuild that fortress of certainty I once lived in. But none of it has ever felt the same. No one has ever made me feel so completely exposed, so utterly seen, with just a look. He stripped away my armor without ever laying a hand on me. Some men leave marks on you with their fists or their passion. And others, the most dangerous ones, they leave their mark by almost touching you. By showing you a depth of what you never knew you were capable of, and then leaving you alone with it, forever. That night, that silence, that almost, it's a ghost that walks with me still. Thanks for listening. If this story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.